When I was in 5th grade, I discovered Animal Jam Classic on YouTube. I was watching YouTubers like Wisteria Moon.
Hey guys, Wisteria Moon here.
And the other people who were popular at the time, but I didn't play Animal Jam myself. I mean, at the time, Playwild hadn't been released yet, so I got all of my Animal Jam fix from YouTube videos. Then I saw people playing a beta version of a game meant to come to mobile. I had mobile, so I sat day in, day out waiting for Animal Jam Playwild to come to mobile devices for the public. And when it finally did, I downloaded it and played it every single day. First thing that I would do when I would wake up in the morning would be to log on and hang out with the buddies that I made. I spent an unholy amount of time on that game every single day for months. And then, in 2018, I quit. I'd gotten incredibly bored and I didn't touch the game for almost an entire year. Yet, here we are, back in 2023, and I'm playing the game and I'm a content creator now. So, what happened? Howdy folks, it's KijiCon, and this video is going to be about not so much of a controversial topic, but about something that I've seen a lot in the community, and there seems to be a really big issue with this among the player base of Animal Jam. That being burnout. What is burnout? Merriam-Webster defines burnout as exhaustion of physical or emotional strength or motivation, usually as a result of prolonged stress or frustration. But that's not entirely what burnout is, at least not in a modern sense. Nowadays, burnout has been described as being some sort of exhaustion or fatigue of a certain topic. Not always just in a workplace environment, but it can be done with hobbies, video games, anything that someone enjoys. Most of the time, you'll find yourself experiencing burnout or fatigue from a certain game or franchise after you've played it way too much, way too frequently. You do so much in the game that you don't even know what to do with it anymore because you've done everything there is to be done, to the point that you end up getting bored of it. This can even happen with stuff that you feel very strongly about, or your favorite game of all time. That's what happened to me back when I was younger, when I quit Animal Jam briefly somewhere between 2017 and 2018. I had been playing Animal Jam every single day for hours a day for almost an entire year or more at that point. And I had done so much that I was just completely exhausted by the game, and I couldn't find a reason to log on anymore. And I know I'm not alone. Almost every single friend I have who have played Animal Jam for a long time, especially those who've played since the beginning, have had periods in which they've quit Animal Jam for years, maybe even more than that. I know people who have periods of times within every single year where they'll stop playing for weeks on end, or they'll just log in every day to get their login rewards. Why is that an issue specifically with Animal Jam, even more so than other games? After all, there's plenty of game franchises out there who people do get burned out from, but I've never heard of it being such a chronic issue with a game like it is with Animal Jam. So today I've decided to dive into the idea of burnout and why I believe that it's so prevalent in Animal Jam. At least, as far as I'm aware of it, since I've experienced it myself. So this is going to be a little bit off of my own personal beliefs and what I've experienced, as well as what I've heard from other people. Starting with the game itself, I think that some of the problems that can cause burnout comes from the game Animal Jam itself, not even considering the fan base. A lot of the aspects that make Animal Jam enjoyable can be pretty repetitive if done every day. For example, a big part of Animal Jam is trading, and if you're not huge on trading, that cuts out a big chunk of the game for you. And even if you are good on trading, going to different people's dens or different rooms in Animal Jam just to spam the same message over and over in hopes of getting a good trade can become very exhausting very quickly. That's why I functionally more or less quit trading unless there's an item I seriously want. And this can be said about a lot of other features on Animal Jam. A lot of Animal Jam's perks actually are pretty grindy, and unless you're a super social person who loves to roleplay and talk for hours on end, a lot of the features that Animal Jam provides can get exhausting if you do them frequently. For example, stuff like the Phantom Dimension and Nocturnal Animals are something you actively have to grind out, which takes a lot of time and a lot of effort when you're not even seeing that much profit as a result. A lot of the enjoyability you get out of Animal Jam doesn't come from those features, and instead it comes from the social aspect of the game that you can only get by interacting with other players. And some people don't have the capacity to be incredibly social every day. Some people are easily worn out by social interaction. Some people might have social anxiety and not do very well with communicating with people, even online. And even those who are, if you're having a particularly bad day or week or month, sometimes you may feel like you don't want to interact with anyone at all. And that's okay. However, when you're considering all these factors about Animal Jam's gameplay, it's easy to understand why some people get really worn out or exhausted or bored of Animal Jam's gameplay, when half of Animal Jam's features are incredibly grindy and the other half require complete social interaction. I do think Animal Jam's gameplay cycle can be incredibly addictive. I mean, I would know firsthand. However, that addictiveness lends itself to burnout, as people who do become hyperfixated on Animal Jam and play it like crazy are a lot more prone to getting burnt out and taking longer breaks. Additionally, the updates can seem pretty repetitive and can also lead people to not be as excited for an update, especially when some of the animals that are coming during the updates are either reskins like the legendary eagles, or may as well be glorified reskins, such as the vipers, which are essentially the pythons, but with some spikes, and they use the exact same animations, and so some people get really exhausted with that. I don't mean to imply that Animal Jam's updates have dropped in quality, but what I do mean to say is that even though these might be occasional things, like once every other month or once every 2 months, that it is frequent enough that it can discourage people from playing the game. People may not feel as inspired to log on to get animals that they pretty much already have, and so the repetitiveness of Animal Jam's updates can be a factor in receiving burnout, not even just with reskins, but every single month you can expect the same thing. A new animal, a new pet, a new den, and if you're lucky, maybe a new mission. And I will say, the missions have done a very good job at giving people a reason to log on, especially some of the missions that may require some grindiness, but generally feel very rewarding to get done. For example, the Flowers mission and the mission in Mesoterra. However, this isn't a perfect solution, because while I do enjoy completing the missions while I have them, once those missions are completed, there's not really much to do anymore. And I think that was a good step in the right direction, though, for replayability and avoiding burnout. Another issue I would say exists that can cause players burnout isn't just the game or the company, but sometimes the player themselves. Despite Animal Jam being a game developed for younger children, Animal Jam has a large population of players who are teenagers or adults with neurodivergency. More specifically, individuals with autism or ADHD. This is interesting because a lot of the times those two specific groups of individuals can find themselves a lot more susceptible to hyperfixations, specifically hyperfixations on Animal Jam. A lot of players that I have met who do have autism or ADHD have had periods of times in which they are hyperfixated on Animal Jam, and therefore play it non-stop and end up burning themselves out entirely. I know personally that Animal Jam is a huge special interest of mine, but I do play it so much that I get bored of it sometimes, which is sort of a double-edged sword for me because I love this game so much and it takes up so much of my life that when I'm not playing it or when I'm burnt out, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still drawing it, I'm still making content on it, and it's pretty much a non-stop loop of playing the game, which unfortunately, considering that I do believe a large part of the community is neurodivergent in some capacity, means that a large chunk of the community does experience burnout. With that, and the issues with the game itself and the updates, it just leads to a ton of players getting burnt out and not playing the game as frequently or as religiously as some people would play other video games or even other MMOs when they were more popular. But what is actually the big deal about burnout? Obviously, burnout sucks in one way, where that if less people are playing for certain periods of time, this means that Wildworks will receive less money over the certain period of time in which some players aren't playing. But you'd expect that enough people who get burnout would have it at different times. It's not like waves and surges of people not playing and then suddenly playing again. And that's generally true. But that doesn't mean that having burnout is without its issues. I mean, apart from, the obvious issue of you're not playing a game you really like, and sometimes are even frustrated by it. But there are some genuinely big issues with burnout and how it's affected players, though the issue isn't on burnout itself, rather how some people may have taken advantage to people having burnout. If you weren't already aware, back in 2020, Animal Jam had a data breach, which pretty much means that people's usernames and passwords were sent out everywhere to different people. And a lot of people got hacked as a result of that. And also, as a result of the big data breach, there's a much higher community of people who are hacking and attempting to get into people's accounts now. The demand for hacking is a lot greater than it was before the data breach, unfortunately. And the data breach led to a lot of people to get interested in hacking. Now, that's in the past, and that's not what this video is about. So how does this relate to burnout? Well, the problem is that a lot of hackers don't go after active accounts because active accounts are more likely to report them and they're a lot more likely to get caught hacking if someone is actively playing and reporting them. Because if I remember correctly, Animal Jam can only take action on things that have happened within the last 30 days. So if your items are traded away 40, 50, 60 plus days ago, then they won't be able to check to see what happened or who took your items. This means that players that get burnout and may take long breaks from the game are seen as inactive, and so hackers are a lot more likely to target them. And I have seen that happen, and it is devastating to see. I've seen players in my own comment sections and in the comment sections of other creators saying that they used to play Animal Jam but took a long break, or maybe they quit for a while. But when they wanted to play again and they finally joined back in the game, they saw that their account had been drained of everything, all of the stuff they'd worked up for. And obviously, if that happens to you, you may feel incredibly uninspired to touch the game ever again. And as a result, a lot of players quit permanently when they take breaks and come back and see that everything is gone. Some players, unfortunately, even take it a step further. They'll quit the game for a while and they'll come back, realize everything is gone, and then go online to buy their items back instead of trading it back, like, legitimately. Which, unfortunately, I do understand. I understand the sentiment of playing hundreds and hundreds of hours of a game, having everything go missing, and then instead of wanting to spend another couple hundred hours getting those items back, instead you want to get it quick and easy just spending a few bucks. And on the surface, that doesn't seem like an issue, but in the end, it ends up being a very unfortunate, vicious cycle. This is because a lot of items that you're purchasing are not obtained legitimately. A lot of the items that are being sold are hacked items from other players, which creates this horrifying loop of people being hacked, coming back and seeing their items are gone, and buying items that are also hacked from other people. If you understand, that creates a whole cycle of things. Obviously, my advice here would be don't buy items, even if you were unfortunately hacked. And to protect your account, if you haven't been hacked yet, change your password, make sure it's changed regularly, turn on 2FA. I have an entire video about hacking and how to keep yourself safe if you want to check that out. But long story short, make sure your account is safe, especially if you're taking a break. If you're taking a long period of time in which you don't want to play Animal Jam anymore, it's worth going onto your parent account and temporarily deactivating your account. When you deactivate your account, that means that nobody can log into it, no matter if they have your password or not. And the only way that somebody can get into your account again is if they go to your parent dashboard and manually activate your account again. So if you are going to take a break because you have burnout, please make sure you keep your account safe. But unfortunately, and understandably, a lot of people don't have the foresight to do that before they quit. And that's because a lot of people aren't planning on quitting or planning on taking a break. A lot of the times, it just happens naturally. You find yourself playing the game less and less, and because you're tired, you just do away with it altogether. And sometimes you don't even think about it. And you'll see a video a couple months or a year later about Animal Jam, and you'll be like, oh, I used to play that game. I want to play it again. And unfortunately, a lot of players come back and find that everything they've worked for is gone. And while hackers are the root of the problem, and obviously the victims are not the problem themselves, I wanted to make this video as a way to sort of bring to light an issue that I've heard talked about amongst the community, because a lot of people who play the game have experienced burnout and have stopped playing because of burnout. So I hope this video was in some way informative, and that if you're feeling this way and like you need to take a break, please make sure your account is safe. And what I would say the best advice to do if you are one to experience burnout for a video game is to take it slow. Instead of putting all of your time into a video game, maybe give yourself a time limit, a couple hours, maybe, a half hour. Give yourself breaks and don't play all of the time, because then you will feel really exhausted by the game. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you had a good day, and I'll see y'all around. Here I am trying to record a video, and my dog is really insistent that she hang out with me. Can I please record my video? Oh, you goofball. Yeah.